Due to work and a physical therapy appointment for a shoulder problem, architect, and happily married man, Evan Weber has the house to himself and his dog Monkey in Father's Day weekend, while his wife and kids go on a planned beach trip. His wife Karen, a successful artist, leaves their assistant Louis in charge of her sculpture that needs to be moved to an art gallery. Evan is alone in his luxurious home, working on graphics for a current home project. Genesis and Belle, two young girls, arrive that evening and knock on his house door. They explain that they are looking for a party's address, but that the taxi driver dropped them down since their phone died. He then opens the door. Evan lets them in so they can use the internet and contact the party's host because they have no other way of getting in touch. Evan offers to call an Uber driver for them after they locate the correct address, but the nearest driver will take 45 minutes to get there. The girls settled in while Evan plays some of his old vinyl recordings, which he has when he was a disc jockey. The topic quickly turns to their thoughts on human polygamy, and they tell Evan about their professions as flight attendants, as well as how they engage in sexual activity with a different guy in each place they visit. They then go to the bathroom when their driver finally arrives. Evan finds them naked and lusting for him in the bathroom. Evan, outraged, tries to get them to leave, but as they start forcing themselves on him, he falls. The next day, Evan finds them eating breakfast and watching Family Feud, unconcerned about leaving. He loses patience and offers to bring them home because they didn't take the cab. Evan finds that his wife's sculpture, which Louis was supposed to pick up for the art gallery, vandalized. When Evan threatens to contact the cops, but the two young girls admit that they are minors, showing that they have control over him, or Evan risks himself facing charges on sexual conduct with a minor. Karen's friend Vivian stops by to check if Evan needs assistance. When Vivian sees Genesis, she gets upset and rushes out, believing Evan is cheating on Karen. Evan tries to make sense of the situation after realizing that everything the girl said was lied to lure him in bed. They surrender in and consent to be taken home after Evan threatens to report a break-in. He drops them off in an expensive neighborhood where they live. Evan returns home, cleans up the mess, and tries to get back to his job. He hears a shattering noise just as he is about to finish his project. He goes looking for the source of the noise as he is supposedly alone in the house. Genesis knocks him out with one of his wife's sculptures after he finds a broken pictures frame of his family. The two evil women tie Evan up and search through his family's stuff. Belle gets on top of him, pretending to be a schoolgirl in his daughter's school outfit. Evan initially refuses, but the girls threaten to FaceTime his wife with him in a compromising position. Even though this disgusts him, Evan realizes that by moving on the bed, he can loosen his binds, so he plays along. Belle rapes him without knowing that everything is records by Genesis. A few minutes later, Evan finally releases himself. He jumps at Belle and knocking her off. He charges towards Genesis, who stabs him with a fork in his injured shoulder. She then pins him to the ground and the two girls tie him to a chair with an electrical cord. Later, Louis arrives to pick up the sculpture that Karen has placed in his care. The girls hide Evan in the room and take his phone to text Louis, informing him that his niece and her friend are living with him. Louis enters the room with his keys. When he discovers the vandalized sculpture, he panics and believes the girls are lying about their relationship with Evan. Louis then finds Evan tied up to a chair, but before he can help him, he hears the girls smashing the vandalized sculpture. He runs to stop them, but then has an asthma attack and realizes they took his inhaler. The girls play monkey in the middle with his inhaler, and as he tries to get it back, he slips on a piece of the sculpture and knocks his head on the edge, killing him. Genesis and Belle transform Louis's body into a scarlet sculpture. They then dig a makeshift grave for Evan in the backyard. They also inform him that they have been spying on him for several days. He fails in his various attempts to make an emergency call and to escape from the house. They tied him up with a hose before burying him, leaving only his head above ground. Genesis showed Evan the video of Belle and him having sex, which he recorded earlier using his phone. As a horrified Evan watches on, she uploads it to his Facebook profile. In the end, they decide not to kill Evan the same way they had killed Louis. The two evil women eventually leave and take the dog Monkey with them, leaving a broken Evan to his fate and trying to dig himself out of the hole he is buried in, while watching the uploaded video and the comments coming in. When Karen and the kids get home, the house has been completely destroyed. Evan's son says Daddy had a party as Karen remains speechless.